If someone told you there was a simple diesel fuel additive that cuts down the smoke and pollution from trucks and buses, increases gas mileage, and cuts maintenance costs, you probably wouldn't believe it. That's exactly what seems to be happening with the California Air Resources Board. For the past 18 months, Councilman Richard Alatorre has been calling for the use of Omstar D-1280X, a diesel fuel additive that has cut pollution dramatically in years of testing. Despite this, the Air Resources Board can't seem to find the time to do its own final testing, so the additive can be used throughout the Southland.
I was fortunate enough to get the Air Resources Board to take a look at it.
Okay, now when you say product, Councilman, you're talking about a fuel additive?
It's a fuel additive. It's a fuel additive. And I'm not saying that this is the end, this is the solution. Mm-hmm. But what, at least from the test that we have been able to take up to now, it probably cuts the smoke and the pollution by about 30 or 40%. It also increases the mileage on the vehicles, as well as maintenance costs are severely cut.
A new additive for diesel fuel is showing promise in helping to reduce air pollution.
A new fuel additive that cuts emissions by a third and increases mileage by 20%.
But a year ago, AQMD got samples of a fuel additive that cuts pollution in diesel engines. Commercial labs said it works. AQMD did nothing. Councilman Richard Alatorre took it to the State Air Resources Board and persuaded the state to test it in the ARB lab. A month ago, he got the ARB state report. The stuff cuts some diesel pollutants as much as 30%.
The Air Resources Board has known about the additive for years, but still has not released the results of its own study. One Omstar researcher says he was even warned not to proceed.
It's California Air Resources Board project we shouldn't be involved in, and we shouldn't test these city trucks, and the situation is very explosive and it's very political, and we shouldn't be involved in this.
Hudson Bus Company, which services LAX, says it cut diesel pollutants in half with technology from the open market.
A local company says its product, offering a short-term fix, has all but been ignored.
That has been the problem in a lot of our so-called environmental programs. They become more about who makes the product than they do about what actually cleans the air.
Senator Haynes says the Air Resources Board has been hostile toward the product, and he believes there should be an investigation.
Dr. Morton Fainman, the inventor of Omstar's ester-based products, was a firm believer that fuels could be improved to decrease deposits inside engines, while at the same time increasing fuel lubricity. The trick was to find an ester blend that helped burn fuel more effectively. This would make the fuel self-cleaning and self-lubricating. Dr. Fainman stated, "In a reciprocating engine, which uses liquid organic fuel, a small amount of friction occurs in the fuel pump, injectors, etc., but the primary source of mechanical friction occurs between the piston rings and the cylinder walls. Friction is significant where the piston reverses direction. Petroleum-based products and additives, consisting of numerous ring-shaped hydrocarbon molecules, float along the surface of the metal, providing lubrication. When Omstar's ester-based product is added to the fuel of an engine, the high molecular weight straight-chain carboxylic acid esters survive the combustion in the cylinder and are available to physically react with the rings and cylinder walls. These straight chains allow the esters to penetrate and bond to the metal surfaces. Because these esters bond with the metal, they create a lasting lubrication. Petroleum products cannot do this because their ring-shaped structure cannot penetrate and bond, and they are easily wiped away. Dr. Fainman's patented combination of low molecular cleaning esters and the high molecular lubricating esters are found in these Omstar products. D-1280X fuel reformulator for all gasoline and alcohol blends, 2C50X fuel reformulator for all two-cycle synthetic and petroleum blends, formulate any fuel into a self-cleaning and self-lubricating fuel.
I asked the state of California and AQMD to look at the product to make sure it was safe for our environment. As we all know what happened with MTBE now, and this was 1986. I wanted to make sure that it was safe. The AQMD tested it and came back and said that it was safe. It was ashless after burn, and there was nothing in the product to hurt our environment.
After 10 years and 10 million miles, California Environmental Engineering, South Coast Air Quality Management District, and E.W. Seybold found D-1280X to be 99.99976% ashless upon ignition and free of metals. They also found it to be non-toxic with a flash point above 230 degrees Fahrenheit.
Then I asked Mayor Bradley and Councilman Alatorre if they would get involved because we have a product that could lower all the emissions and give back the mileage so the product would pay for itself. And so Councilman Alatorre asked the Air Resource Board to conduct a test with 2 vehicles. The Air Resource Board conducted a test with 2 vehicles. In fact, it lowered hydrocarbon CO and gave you back 4.4 in mileage. So it actually paid for itself. So the City of Los Angeles provided 11 vehicles to the California Air Resource Board. They tested those vehicles, and in fact, again, it lowered the emissions and gave back the same amount of the mileage. So we knew we had something that would in fact lower emissions, not hurt our environment, and pays for itself.
The catch comes in the form of testing of D-1280X by the Air Resources Board. Results have been long in coming.
$200,000 has already been spent. They initially said it was going to take 90 days. It's already 7 months.
For a government agency, very sloppy work.
That, in my mind, is bordering on an absurdity. I mean, there isn't any reason why the Air Resources Board wouldn't be interested in a product if it indeed would clean up the air.
And the question I have is, why would they do something like this when part of their job is to find solutions so that we can meet our goals in the United States and in California to meet our SIP?
And the board dropped the testing after that for some reasons of their own, and apparently it had something to do with the fact that MTBE was under consideration at the time and was the oil company favored for the situation to deal with the oxygenated fuel when 1280X was obviously an option, but it's a small company at the time. And in fact, the problem there was that there wasn't money to conduct multi-million dollars worth of tests.
Also, what we found, Dr. Fainman was looking at not only putting in the oil, also for ethanol, methanol, and all the other compressed natural gases and boilers and things like this, because the product has a lot of other things that the application would apply for this product. And I think Governor Gray Davis should look at this and say, here's something that we can use right now until we find the right solution and the right alternate fuels before we start wasting taxpayers' money on dreams that we know won't work.